Please don't forget to hit that like.
Okay, hold on a second. Oh, can you guys see me and hear me now? What the heck? Tipsy, it's just me and you. Oh my gosh. I'm so embarrassed. Can you guys see me and hear me? Anyways, I just wanted to come back and finish that live because I felt like, what the heck? StreamYard just absolutely kicked me out. I am so sorry, you guys. I am so sorry. I can't figure it out. I don't know why I have to pay for a service that's gonna keep kicking me out. Thanks, Michelle, for coming back. I'm just gonna finish this because I don't want to leave it without finishing it. You guys can see me and hear me clearly? Yeah? Let me know. How annoying, right? I felt like I was getting to the good part. Okay. Let's start over because I want to finish this and then I'm going to link it to the live that just ended. So, discovery of human remains. On September 7th, 2024, Witness 4 and Witness 5 contacted law enforcement after observing bones while walking in a wooded area near Christy Bob Lane in Manitowoc County. A human cranium was observed on the surface with several other bones resting nearby. There appeared to be a sand or gravel mixture near the area where the remains were found that appeared to be foreign to the existing terrain. Dr. Jordan, a biological anthropologist, arrived on the scene and identified the skeletal remains as human. Certain tooth pieces and hairs with root material were subsequently tested at the Wisconsin laboratory. Analyst reports that the cutting of the apparent root portion of several hairs developed a profile consistent with child 1 victim. The probability of random selecting is 1 in 1 quadrillion. Stock reports the washing of the discolored tooth developed a male profile also consistent with the victim. The probability of randomly selecting the observed profile from a population of unrelated individuals is not more frequent than 1 in 35 billion. Christy Bob Lane is a gravel road located in the wooded area of Manitowoc County. Christy Bob Lane is approximately 1 mile in length, runs along a quarry, and ends at a private residence. Through investigation, law enforcement confirmed that Vang was familiar with Christy Bob Lane as he had been present at the residence in September 2023. Special agent reports he traveled from Vang's apartment on Mishicot Road to where the remains of the child were located on Christy Bob Lane. And then the special agent returned where the blanket was located. He traveled past St. Vincent de Paul to Vang's apartment. The amount was 30 minutes and 35 seconds without stopping. Doctor further examined the skeletal remains at the University Forensic Laboratory and estimated that the bones were those of a 3 to 4-year-old child who stood between 2.9 to 3.4 inches in height. This is consistent with victim child 1. Dr. Karsten further noted the degree of decomposition observed on the victim. Skeletal remains and the corresponding estimated postpartum interval is consistent with his death according in the time interval around when he was reported missing. Dr. Karsten observed that the skull of the victim had a healed fracture on the zygomatic process of the right temporal bone. Thanks, Bun Bun, for coming back. The instance of trauma was associated with diastasis of the zygomatotemporal suture, which resulted in the complete separation of the suture. Diastasis of the squamous suture of the anterior most squamosal suture were also noted. However, these instances were not associated with complete displacement. Within the scientific literature, diastasis of the cranial sutures has been correlated with head trauma occurring during instances of child abuse. Doctor further noted that the trauma was not present during a radiographic examination of the child when he was 6 months of age. To see the level of healing observed would have taken at least several weeks. Therefore, doctor notes that the trauma was inflicted and must have been and occurred between the timing of the cranial radiograph and at least several weeks prior to his death. So basically, they cracked his skull open. Yeah. On September 27th, a child abuse pediatrician with Children's Hospital of Wisconsin reported that based on the information obtained through law enforcement's investigation of Bauer and Vang, child is diagnostic for physical abuse, psychological, emotional maltreatment, and neglect. Doctor notes that the history provided by caregivers to law enforcement and messages to each other is consistent with torture, a type of child maltreatment characterized by physical assault or abuse, psychological maltreatment, and neglect resulting in prolonged emotional distress, pain, and suffering, bodily injury, disfigurement or dysfunction, and or death. Doctor noted that child 1 experienced multiple types of maltreatment, including forced position, being made to stand without sitting for 1 to 3 hours at a time with his hands in a prayer position multiple times a day, exposure to cold showers and waters on at least 2 occasions, sleep deprivation, isolation, and terrorizing. Doctor further identified that the child's presentation was consistent with supervisory neglect and physical neglect. Doctor explains that the supervisory neglect includes young children left without supervision or left in the care of children who lack the judgment and maturity necessary to safely and appropriately react to an emergency. Doctor also reports that changing a diaper once a day would not be considered appropriate care and could cause discomfort, distress, and increase the risk of preventable infections. Doctor indicates that child 1 experienced psychological and emotional maltreatment and explains that caregiver behaviors which are considered to be psychological or emotional maltreatment include deprivation, ignoring, isolation, spurning, and terrorizing. Deprivation includes preventing a child from meeting basic needs such as sleep. Ignoring is failing to respond to a child's need for stimulation, nutrients, and encouragement and protection. In this case, the child was not allowed to play with toys, which a child needs to learn and develop normally, and was repeatedly subject to an environment where he was maltreated. Child 1 also was isolated from having normal interactions with other children and adults. The victim was spurned or belittled by repeatedly saying and implying him, making him say he was not a good boy. Child was also terrorized when threatening with extreme punishments or creating a climate of terror by playing on his fears. Doctor explained that this physiological and emotional maltreatment damages to a child and significantly increase the risk of adverse health, mental health, and emotional outcomes due to the direct and indirect effects of the maltreatment on the child's physical and psychological, cognitive, and emotional development. Doctor also reviewed the cell phone images taken by Bauer on February 14, 2024. Doctor notes that the areas of discoloration, particularly those on child 1's neck and elbow, raise concern for bruising, suggestive of fingertip contusions. Dr. Pesca further noted that the large area of discoloration to victim child 1 elbows appear to have a linear pattern which would not be typical or expected with an accidental fall. Doctor also discussed the heel fracture of the zygomatic process that Dr. Creston observed during his examination of the child's skull. Doctor indicated that the facial bone fractures are typically caused by blunt force trauma or crush and would be expected to be extremely painful. On October 16th, Dr. Kovac, Chief Medical Examiner of Fond du Lac County, filed a report regarding victim child 1. In his report, doctor indicates that the cause of death was homicide by unspecified means. Dr. Kovac further noted that the forensic anthropological analysis of the child's skeleton was performed by a different doctor. Dr. Kovac noted that a different doctor's report identified a healed fracture of the right zygomatic process, the cheekbone, which was estimated to be at least a few weeks old. The healed fracture was associated with adjacent suture line diastasis. Doctor noted that the diastasis in the context means separation of previously fused suture lines and indicates trauma. Doctor explained that the fractures of the type seen in the right zygomatic process can be consistent with physical abuse. It should be noted that the bones of children are more elastic than adult bones are and will bend much more than they break. As such, they require more relative force to fracture. Thanks for coming back, you guys. I know I got kicked out. I didn't want to finish. I didn't want to just leave it because I feel like we need to finish this document, and we're like 1 page away. And then I'll review the criminal history, which should only take a few minutes. So I appreciate you guys coming back and hanging out. Your complaint repeater. Your complaint is informed by the records of the FBI and PACER on online database federal court records, which are presumed truthful and reliable. Jesse Vang was convicted of felony conspiracy to distribute substances on November 28, 2017 in Minnesota. Vang was also sentenced to 72 months imprisonment to commence on January 4th, 2018, which is excluded from the computation of the 5-year period. Vang also was released from custody on February 4th, 2022. Said conviction remains of record and unreversed, making the defendant a repeat pursuant to Wisconsin statutes. And then it lists all the agents involved. This information provided by all witnesses is believed because they have provided true and reliable information as witnesses. Doctors are all legitimate. This information provided by Jesse Vang and Christina Bauer is believed because they have provided information based upon their personal observation and experience. As to Jesse Vang. Oh, okay, so they list his charges here, so I don't have to go through and do them on my own. I did a PowerPoint. So Jesse Vang, 2022, fleeing an officer. This is his criminal record, which I'm not judging if you have a criminal record, but this proves to me, especially with charges of child harm, that he's just a monster. On 2022, this is regarding Jesse Vang. 2022, fleeing an officer, also battery by prisoner, child abuse intentionally to cause harm. That was in October of 2022. So there's another child crime. 2002. 2005, manufacture of substances. And then in 2004, he had a charge for substances again. And in 2006, again. 2007, resisting officer and disorderly conduct. And then in 2009, felony bail jump. 2009, yeah. In 2017, conspiracy again to distribute substances. Hey, Patronus, thanks for being here. We're just finishing up the live from right before this because StreamYard kicked me out. Katrina Bauer, the mother, 2011, disorderly conduct. 2016, disorderly conduct with the use of dangerous weapon. 2017, operating while revoked. And 2018, operating while revoked. So those were their previous charges. Again, let me reiterate that Jesse Vang here in 2002 had child abuse, intentional harm. So there was another case where he had caused physical harm to a child. So anyways, thanks guys for coming back and reading this document with me. I know you guys are like, what? This is a short live, but it's not. I got kicked out of my other live. So if you didn't hear or see the first part of this, please go back and rewatch it. I'm going to edit it and then I'll clip this to redirect so that it's not confusing. Again, I apologize for the technological issues. I can't control StreamYard. I mean, I pay for it, so you would think we'd get better, service than that. But hey, it happens. So I appreciate you guys for coming here and listening to the criminal complaint. We started on the first part of this, so I'll go ahead and title them and link them and do all that good stuff. And I will be back either later tonight or tomorrow. I have 3 more lives planned. I'm a little nervous with StreamYard tonight, so I might give it a few minutes and make sure it's not going to kick me out or anything. I do have a couple different lives that I'm going to be doing later tonight and this weekend. So make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for being here. We covered the criminal complaint of Elijah Vu. His mother and her boyfriend have just been charged with, charges of his death and neglect. My heart is broken for Elijah Vu. Thanks for making it itty bitty. I have no words to say about how brutal this was, and I appreciate you guys for hanging out. Mo, I will see you. Thanks, Mo, for being here, my love. I know this is ending, but I might be back in a little bit, so let me just fix StreamYard and see if it wants to work with me, and then I will be back and we can do another true crime live. If not, I don't come back tonight, then I will for sure see you guys tomorrow. And I appreciate you guys for being here. So please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys shortly. I love you guys. Bye.